Welcome, everyone, to What the Feminine, where we will show the world how to have crucial, nuanced conversations and how healthy feminine and masculine embodiment are the gateway to global healing. I'm Nicole George, the CEO and founder of Sovereign, and as the host and the moderator of this show today, I'd like to remind our guests and audience that the questions posed in today's episode are neither a reflection of my personal beliefs, opinions, thoughts, or ideologies, nor of Sovereign Magazine, but they're simply a guide for all of us to go deeper into our own constructed beliefs and ask ourselves, how can we remain open and curious to being recoded to a more passionate, compassionate, cohesive way of living? The content in this episode could contain references to topics that are a difficult subject matter that may be triggering for you. So please honor yourself in your inner knowing and always seek the guidance of a professional, as we are never a substitute for one. Let the show begin, and today our topic is embodying the feminine. What does that really mean? So I'm going to have each of our amazing guests today introduce themselves and share with us where they're calling in from. So why don't you go ahead and take it away, Deb?
Hello, everybody. What a delight to be here with you. My name is Deborah Driscoll, but everyone calls me Deb D, so feel free to do that. I am zooming in today and joining this amazing conversation from the island of Tobago, deep in the Caribbean. And from here, from my island home, I am the founder of the Be Her Collective. So I'm a spiritual teacher and an energy guide and a writer and an adventurer. And what I'm inviting women to do is to reclaim their intuitive wisdom, remember who they are, and then choose to be the heroine of their story. That's what it means to be her.
Love it. Okay, Velvedon, you're up next.
Well, this is an exciting time to be alive. And my name is Velvedon Silver. I am from High River, Alberta, Canada, and I love to be on an island. And what I do, my passion has always been awakening the keys within for women. I'm the catalytic coach, and I've been doing this work for over 19 years. And the most important thing for me is to allow women to look within themselves, begin to activate the keys of a remembrance of everything that they are, from their ancestral templates to who they are in the roles right here, shifting the collective as we're all doing on this platform and in the world one by one. So my passion is really teaching women who to remember who they are, why they are here, and they have everything that they need deep inside themselves. So thank you for asking me to be here, Nicole.
Wonderful. Pleasure. Thank you for being here. Aja, you're next.
Hey, I am Aja Daniel, and I am coming from Albuquerque, New Mexico, US. And I am a empowerment coach. That's a gentle way of saying it, but I am also deep rooted in what I call crafting or witchcraft. And my entire modality is helping women find whatever is spiritually tuned for them and what their particular form of craft is so that they can really unlock what they're supposed to be while kind of taking down the patriarchy sometimes, not always, but it comes up. And just feeling really good about themselves in every single relationship. I like to say we're going to up level our lives one relationship at a time. And I'm really excited about this topic because of that.
Yes. All right, Pterodon, you're up
Oh,
next.
it's such an honor to be on this space with these lovely women. Oh, it's incredible. My name is Tara Dawn. I am from Cochrane, Alberta, Canada. I'm actually a bit of a product of Velvedon's amazing work. I met her years ago and she's been part of my own transformation. So I just wanted to share that because I it's been a recent journey embracing the feminine. I came from an existence and a being of abandonment, wounding, and so on that had me in my heavy masculine for a very, very long time. And that's actually the center of my work. So I am a healing coach and life strategist, and I lead women to heal their abandonment wounds and reconnect to that inner child so that they can start to sit in the foundation of listening to their intuition and allowing that to lead them not only in their lives but in business. I do a business coaching component now as well. So I'm just really excited and honored to be a part of this panel.
Mm, I love this. And for anyone who might have the question, because I know it popped in my mind. So if I'm thinking about it, that means somebody else is as well. This is not a male bashing show at
Mhm.
all. This is all about embracing our healthy, feminine, and masculine characteristics, tendencies, so that we can get rid of our toxic ones. We all have them, whether we identify as male or female. We're welcoming to all genders on this show and how you identify as well.
Mhm.
So when we say woman, if you identify as a woman, that's who we mean. And if we say man, if you identify as a man, that's who we mean. We accept all of you as who you are. So just know that we are very welcoming and inclusive on here. However, we're going to be having really deep, nuanced conversations that people aren't willing to have for fear of being canceled, for fear of talking about that taboo topic or subject. We no longer want that fear to live within you so that we can begin to heal those parts of us that have been constructed by the patriarchy, by our ancestors, all the generational trauma and patterns that we've all gone through. We're here to help release them. And so, the first question I have for the panel today is, when you hear the phrase embodying the feminine, besides the external appearance and style, what does that actually mean to you, whether on a daily basis, in your practices? What does embodying the feminine maybe look like, feel like? Um, how do you encompass it in your daily life? Who wants to go first? Anybody?
So I'll go ahead and start. For me, embodying the feminine is, as you said, outside of the appearance that I think most society thinks of first. It's understanding that our intuition is incredibly powerful, and the when we walk outside, whatever the scenario is that we're walking into or the person we're around, the feeling that we get, that initial feeling, is what they're feeling, and trusting that with ourselves. So for me, embodying the feminine is very much, how am I understanding that I'm empathic and it naturally comes to us, and to trust it, because it's been many societies, I feel, really prevent us from following that intuition. And I don't think it's intentional these days. I think we're just used to not knowing that little voice inside us isn't crazy talk that needs medication all the time. Like we we are very intuitive, and that's really what it means for me, is listening to my inner voice.
Mm. And it's the same for me, but then also listening to the inner voice through the body to actually reclaim our physical bodies. Because there's so many times I've been working with a woman and I've said about like how, where you feeling that, or even using the words embodiment. And so many women are like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I think we can make the assumption that all women know that your intuition is in your body. That's not true. Like, we know it because of the work that we do and the messages that we're sharing, but it's revolutionary. Lights are going off when women start to actually realize their body is an intuitive tool. Like in February, I hosted a global intuition summit, 13 speakers. We reached 13 countries. It was amazing. Intuition party time. And the thing, by the end of the week, when I was doing the evaluation and looking at conversations that had been had, most comments, the thing that was commented on the most was our physical bodies, how disengaged women feel from their bodies, and also how much they were welcoming in a reconnection to their body, not only to feel good, but to be connected to all of their feelings and therefore all of their intuitive goodness through the body. So I take great delight when a woman says to me, I know what you mean now. I'm in my body. Like, to me, that's a win.
Love that. Who's next?
I would love to be able to build on what both of the ladies said. The word that comes to mind for embodying the feminine is sitting in a state of flow and trust. That, you know, for somebody who is deeply motivated and has 100 things on the go, that's me, and I'm sure many people can relate. We get pulled into the obligation, and we get pulled into the obligation to other people that are outside of our nuclear family, outside of our income. And so that the people pleasing. So, like what was said earlier, is that I don't think it's intentional that our intuition gets shut off. It's actually something that shows up in my work all the time when we start reconnecting to the inner child. When I start asking my clients to reconnect, they're like, oh, I thought that was just like the negative voices. Well, no, that child's been asking for you to hear it forever. And that is where those sensations in the body show up. And that's where, and so when we look at that, we self-abandon. And that's why those two things are married in my work. Is the abandonment wounding doesn't just come from the external, it comes from the sacrifice, that badge of honor that comes with you have to sacrifice everything if you're a woman and if you're a mother, and that's not the truth. I think it's an old narrative that I think gets to be reprogrammed, deconditioned, if you will. And I can say that, and we could go into the whole health side of this, is that, as an autoimmune deficiency sufferer, survivor, warrior, when I got more connected with my inner child, more into my feminine, my symptoms became less. So this is such an expansive topic that it's not any one thing, and I don't think any of it ever happened intentionally. It's generational. And when we start sitting in listening to our body, listening to what the voice is telling us in our head that's leading us down a path, not the negative Nelly, the inner critic, the other voice, and really learn to differentiate the difference between the two, we can sit in embodying that feminine in a more wholesome, surrendering way.
That is powerful, what all of you have put together. And I love that everybody looks through a different lens about what does it mean to embody the feminine. So for me, what it means is to live from your heart, not your mind. We have been so programmed in our childhood forward to make the right decision, to look a certain way, to disconnect from our bodies. And it's the womb. We need to go back to the womb, the cosmic womb, the remembrance. What does your sacral say? Is it a hell yes or a hell no? It's like listening to the yes, listening to the no, having the boundaries. So for me, embodying the feminine has been really open myself up to receiving, because I grew up where I was only seen if I was in action mode, if my report card was good, if I did well on my public speaking in 4-H. So I really had to address the feminine. What does that feel like to be feminine? To receive, to allow other people to help me, instead of being in warrior phase. And I've got this, I can do it all, I don't need help. And I feel as women, we have gotten into that role, whether you're divorced or you have a health issue. We've learned to warrior up rather than go within and listen to what the heart is saying and follow those whispers of the feminine. And the more you follow it, it's like a muscle when you lift weights. The more that you follow that whisper, it's going to strengthen your intuition. It's going to embody the feminine. And then soon your external appearance changes. You become more softer. You accept your curves and you're in the flow of life with healthy boundaries, of course. But that is how I embody the feminine in many different ways.
So why do you all think that we are taught, and it's so global, I mean, it doesn't matter what country you're in, what society you grew up in, whether you had two parents or not, siblings or not. Why do you think, as Velvedon so beautifully said, we are taught as women to warrior up?
I feel like it's for survival. I mean, we have been property for so long. Even if we have our rights now, I mean, here in the US, they're being some of them are stripped. And there are places where there's still rampant slavery. Women have always had this incredible energy and creativity and the ability to produce life. And that is a major commodity throughout time, especially when survival was so hard and we needed to be controlled. I highly doubt anyone was like, I'm going to make her, I don't know, my cow and like control her in that way. But that's what happened over time. And someone else had mentioned generational. Depending on where you are in the world, you're in a certain part of history where the generations before you have had what feels like eons of us being made property. And so when I was raised by a very like outspoken, super counterculture, just very, very much out there, feminist. And I still have a lot of that conditioning, even from her. And it gets passed down as a way of surviving. Even like, I like to think of it even as simple as when I was taught to hold my keys. I don't know if anyone else knows that trick, but you hold something through your right. Men aren't taught that, and maybe some, to my knowledge, none have. But it's because we have to protect ourselves, and so we have to, in my opinion, worrying up is a self-defense mechanism to make sure we can survive physically. And now, depending where you're at, that's just you're just used to it. I found myself even doing certain things with my daughter. I'm like, oh my goodness, where did that come from? You don't need to know that. That's not the world we live in. And spiritually, we're so used to masking that because to receive means receiving everything in many cases. And that could be someone hurting us, or at least that's what we feel like. It again depends on how you take it and many factors and where you are in life. But for me, that's where the worrying up, that's where, which is a great phrase. I love that. But it's making sure you're protected and you're protecting your magic. That's what I feel like.
I completely agree. Completely agree. And I think it's so layered that it's hard to actually pull out one thread and say that's it. But I also do believe that we are shifting it. Like we're shifting it in this conversation alone, you know? And so what I note is what needs to shift in me? What needs to shift in me for me to embody the feminine? And some of it does come back to the safety. And like in my work, I'm inviting women to step into their heroine status. And when you're in heroine, you're leading your story forward. It's your next move. But it's not that the heroine is against the hero. And this is one of the things that was a delight for me personally when I started to more embody the feminine and embody my own safety in heroine. It gave full permission for my husband to be the hero because he wants to protect. Like that's a masculine quality, wanting to protect all. Feminine quality is wanting to nurture all, you know? And in balance, we're nurtured and protected. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a man or a woman. I guess we're all picking up what I'm putting down in that these balance points. But it was also like I was able to put the warrior part of me down when I allowed and received the support and protection that he wanted to give me. That for years, my friend, I was like, I'm okay. I can sort myself out. I've got this. Women are powerful, you know. And when I actually put that sword down, it was amazing the shift in the two of us with him and his heroine and me, him and his hero and me and my heroine, and how it's just started to balance out how we naturally flow energetically. And I think that we are shifting towards that changing. And truth be told, it may take another few generations because that change takes generations.
one of the things that keeps coming to mind as these women are all talking about their positions and the stances is self-trust. We have been, I think that's one of the things where it stops, is where our intuition stops, where our ability is that our self-trust has been taken away parentally at a very early age. And then it's compounded with, going to school, and compounded with our experiences in childhood and onward. And so when I say that, I how many times have we been shut off our intuition and started to question our own self-trust when we don't want to hug that person, but we're forced to because that was a family thing? When we stood up for ourselves and we were told that was wrong, when we were asked to stay quiet and silence, even though everything in us was asking to stand up against the thing. And in the basis of my work, there's a lot of lack in self trust. They don't trust themselves to make a decision, so they just don't. They don't trust themselves enough to change their mind when they're presented with information that could be harmful. So, yeah, we warrior up. We have the shield up, we have the sword up. I was this woman. And we have the shield up, the sword up, because we don't trust to make our own decisions. So, it's better to wall up with the armor than it is to believe anything anybody says, because we're not even listening within anymore. And that's where we step into our unhealthy masculine, is that we are so busy self-protecting, we aren't open to receive, we aren't open to allow anything or anybody in, and we carry life through that, and then we wonder why we're chronically stressed, chronically feeling burnt out. It's a chronic state of being. And so leaning into that self-trust, but it's been taken away at such an early age. And I'd say, as a parent and even as a grandparent, when the littles say no, okay, that's a no. There's no logical reason to attempt to change their mind. And, when they're young and they're impressionable, I have a 10-year-old that knows how to say no, and I really, really love it. And I trust his no. So it's like Belvedere said about that sacral hell yes, hell no. Not everybody is guided by the sacral. There is other guidances. Sometimes it's a feeling, sometimes it's a thought, sometimes, but in just trusting what's going on within and being able to allow that and not have to wear the armor because you trust yourself so fully that you don't need the armor anymore.
That's a really, really good point, Tara. What all of you have said is so powerful. And what I've been seeing is that those of us that are actually birthing this energy on the planet, we come in with these ancestral karmic templates where we've been warriors in all these lifetimes. So we have that template running where we're more in our masculine. And what I've been doing with clients recently is laying down templates. And I literally can see that the masculine energy is running over into the feminine. So we're laying these templates down because we needed this energy to help birth the collective. We needed the warrior. We needed the strength to get to where we are today. But now, as the light workers and the healers and the birthers, we actually need an upload to the feminine template, which will allow the masculine to go back and be at ease. And when that happens, it's like your masculine can take a breath because it's actually in a place where it should be. But we had to get to this point now with these templates running to get the collective to awaken as much as it has been. And that's where we're at. Many of us that are on here realize it's not working anymore, and we need to allow that neutrality between the feminine and the masculine to have that void opening where we rebirth from this spot.
Okay, so we have about 5 more minutes, but I always love giving people takeaways, right? Because we're giving all this beautiful information. And if I were on the other end, I'd be like, yes, like this is what we're doing. Like, let's go. But where do I start? So I would love each of you to think of maybe one baby step or bigger, depending on how big you want to go, that somebody could take, whether male or female, whether feminine embodiment or masculine embodiment, but one takeaway that they can do today to begin this journey. And don't worry, we're going to have more of these. So we're going to keep building upon these topics each episode. So there'll be more. But what is just one takeaway, whether it's a baby step or something tangible that they can do to start to embody a healthy feminine and masculine characteristics, or however we want to describe them?
I can begin because I've been working in this way with women as the first step. So I want to share just the first step. When a woman says to me, I don't understand what you mean, embodiment, I don't understand what you mean, feel it in my body. And I meet them with exactly where they are. They don't know. They haven't actually been connected to their body for a while. So I say, okay, so for the next week or more, this is your activation. Every morning, you're going to choose 3 body parts, place a hand there, and just ask yourself, how does it feel? So an example might be my left knee. Put your hand on your left knee and just breathe. How does my left knee feel? Feels fine. Okay, go up to the right shoulder. How does the right shoulder feel? Oh, there's some tension there. Okay. And then maybe go to your belly button. How does it feel there? Oh, there's some rumbling there. Right. You've just tuned in with your body, and just continue to do this simple activation of taking the time to just stop, touch, feel, tune in. And over time, you will find your way back to embodiment. But that's how I invite women to begin. If there's no sense of embodiment at all, it's like, well, you have your body, just actually touch, tune in, feel. What am I feeling there?
Love that. Who's next?
It's hard to pick one thing because there's so many one things. I would say what I give clients, for me it was if it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no. But for my clients, I ask them to just take the pause, take a breath before they say the yes or the no. Think about, like, get really, really like, okay, is this something I really want to do, or am I sitting in people pleasing? But that pause on its own can be enough to give a degree of clarity that they can either set a boundary or they can opt in.
Yeah, pause. Another way to describe that, you might hear this a lot, is waiting to respond. I'm very much in the responding quickly, and then I find out later it was not meant to be. So wait to respond, pause, actually
Mhm.
tune in. Love that, Tara. Love that.
What I would recommend, and this is how I started, was it kind of goes with the pause almost, but when you hear something, the your brain, whatever you want to call it, when you hear spirit talking to you, but listen, and you don't have to react to it whatsoever. You can do it just while you're doing the dishes or if you're at work, and whatever that first word, feeling, image that you see, even if it's a past memory or something extravagant, it could be anything. Think about that, and just think about that for a second, because that is a way that spirit, your intuition, your higher power is speaking to you, and that's a way to really reconnect with that feminine energy. And over time, it's someone else had mentioned, like, building a muscle. You'll start to realize, like, there's a difference between, oh, I'm hungry thoughts, like I'm thinking about enchiladas or something, and then there's thoughts of, you see a slide or a swing set out of nowhere and you're like, oh, I should go play, I should go have fun. And really understanding, like, over time you'll start to be able to pick those things out. But the first step is just whatever comes into your mind, that first thing, listen to it, it means something to you.
I love that. I wanted to share because when I was struggling at the beginning, I didn't understand. I was so in the masculine. I didn't know what the difference between the thoughts were. Isabel Gatherer, who is a wonderful psychic, I believe she's out of the UK, told me if it's quick, it's intuition. If there's a lot of sentences attached to it, it's ego and fear. So that's how I started to figure it out. So that's
Yes,
beautiful.
yes,
Thank
I
you.
agree.
Belvadon.
And so, how I began and how I begin with with women is self-love. Really begin looking at, how do you nurture yourself? Do you nurture yourself? And the thing I loved to do when I first started was I had a rose quartz crystal and I put it in my bra. So it was against my heart. It's one of the most humble stones, but most powerful. And I looked in the mirror for 21 days and I would say, I would look into my soul and I would say, I love you. And I would do that every day to open up the portal of my heart, to really begin embodying and feeling inside my heart. So, rose quartz crystal in your bra, let it sit there, clear it in the windowsill or in water with salt, and look into your soul. Tell your soul that you love it, to begin the opening of the rose. You get to go inside, you get to start connecting. So, that was the beginning, and that would be my tidbit for anybody who's watching, to begin going inside to embody this energy.
I love this. Thank you all so much. We have another recording next week with more guests. We're going to keep going deeper. Guests will be changing all the time depending on people's schedules. So definitely tune in. You can watch this live in our platform at community.sovereign-magazine.com. Otherwise, you're going to get the recording later on other platforms. But if you want to see this recorded live, join us for free in our platform. All of the speakers and panelists' details will be in the show notes, so you can find them, follow them, engage with them, because they're absolutely amazing. And we'll see you on the next one.